The NFL stands for not for long.
Set, Sharga and Armstead. Roll out, Walker still running out. Looks to the left, wide open, Thompson touchdown. Colin Thompson with the touchdown. There was nobody within 20 yards of him.
What a catch off the bobble. Colin Thompson scoops it up.
Lofting corner, the end zone. It is caught for the touchdown. The first NFL touch for Colin Thompson is a score.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Colin Thompson Show. Special guest today, Phillies legend. This guy was an absolute legend in the character. Brett Myers will be joining us today. We're presented by Not For Long Media, brought to you by Not For Long Media, our wonderful media company here. Check out all our shows, notforlongmedia.com. And we got to talk about our friends over at Boiron Arnicare, a group that's been so good to me throughout my career. I feel amazing because of them. Boiron's line of Arnicare homeopathic medicines are powered by Arnica, a plant to relieve muscle pain and stiffness, swelling from injuries, and bruising. Safe to say I've had plenty of that, and they've been here every step of the way for me. Available in a variety of forms, including fragrance-free topical and oral pellets and melt-away tablets. Arnicare offers a range of products sustainable for strenuous physical activity, sports recovery, minor injuries and falls, arthritic pain, and more. Check them out, arnicare.com. Like I said, hope everyone had a great weekend. Kentucky Derby, NHL playoffs, PGA Tour. What a fun time of year. NBA playoffs. Been watching some of that for once. It's been good. Sixers are eliminated, which stinks. But, a lot of great storylines there and the rest of the playoffs, which has been fun. Myself, personal news, I'll be hosting SiriusXM shows on Thursday and Friday this week. Thursday, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I will be the lead host with Ed McCaffrey, legend, Christian's father. Never met Ed, met his wife, Lisa. Amazing people, amazing family. Christian's been great to me. I've talked about it on the show. I'll be doing a radio with Ed again, 7 to 10 a.m. on Thursday. And then on Friday, 12 noon to 3 p.m., I'll be talking with Rick Spielman, legendary general manager for the Vikings for a decade, I believe it was. So really excited to do some radio Thursday and Friday. I appreciate everybody's support with all of it. The notes, the messages, the emails, the DMs, they don't go unnoticed, and I try to get back to everybody, the text, everything. But I'm really trying to focus on being in the moment more, also connecting with everybody, and it's a hodgepodge. So I try to live in the world of we're all busy. We all have stuff going on, and I'm going to try to get back to you when I can. And if I don't, it's not personal because we got to live in the moment more. We got to be active more. We got to be enjoying things more, not linked to our phones as much. And it's contradictory, right? As I sit here and talk into a microphone and expect you to listen and expect sponsors to pay attention. But it's that fine line, right? Of like things that make you happy and then things to be in the moment and all these different things. So I'm not preaching. That's not me. But again, I appreciate everybody's support from our media company, Not For Long Media, of myself and my personal media and football career. Update football career-wise, still a free agent. Have talked to a handful of teams here about what's coming in the summer, training camp, things like that. I'm in great shape. I feel great. The crappy part about being 30 is you're on the outside of the league looking in. When you're 30 years old, it's hard to get back in. But I'm up for the challenge. I did it last year when I was 29. Excited to try to get back with the organization. I think I can help teams on and off the field at a high level and still produce better than I ever have. As again, I feel better, move better than I ever have. So it's been quite a journey professionally for these 7-8 years of playing pro football. And I have no regrets and have extreme gratitude for all the teams, the organization, the coaches, my agents that have believed in me over the years. We'll see what happens there. We had a big night in the NFL last year, the roast of Tom Brady on Netflix Live. It was fantastic. Unreal. First off, hysterical. Really well put together and organized. My biggest fear from this thing is please don't expose people with quotes and please don't expose people with highlights for your benefit of your page because of clicks or you trying to cancel someone or whatever. This was a roast and it was done at a high level, right? Everyone was destroying Tom. And then at the end, Tom got up and he was 100% more than himself, right? With some ego and all. It was great to see and funny to see. Everything was tongue in cheek and really well done, pushing the edge, if not going over the edge on some things. But just don't jump. Let's not click this and quote this and pull clips and all these different things saying, look what they said here. And it was unreal. We were exposed with NFL that we'd never been exposed before. The NFL, everybody enjoys the brand, a lot of the on-field stuff and the off-the-field, draft, etc. But you never get to see guys interact like that. Cursing, drinking, ripping it up, partying, engagement, all different sports and celebrities coming together around football. It's kind of rare in a way where the guys, the football players talking, not playing, are the center point. So I thought it was really cool to see, really good for the brand of the NFL. It was a mature viewing audience, and you saw a lot of different folks there, a lot of different folks from celebrity to football coaches to media members. Really cool event. Expect the NFL to do more of this. I'm sure Peyton Manning will be up next. But really well done, and I really hope this does not get overexposed in a bad way, because everything was comedy and tongue-in-cheek, and it was really done in a high-class fashion. Personally, if you haven't seen it yet, go back and watch it. It really blew me away and was really impressed, and my wife and I just had a blast watching it, and it was funny, and yeah, it was really, really good. So I just want to touch on that before we move forward. Really excited to get down to Cape May this weekend, because it's Mother's Day. And on Mother's Day, you ship fudge to mom. You ship sweet treats to mom. You get mom your favorite saltwater taffy flavors. So my mother, we're going to be getting her probably some chocolate-covered pretzels this weekend from the Fudge Kitchen. No flowers. She doesn't need flowers. She wants fudge. She wants chocolate. She wants something she can enjoy. So go over to our friends at fudgekitchens.com. The original Fudge Kitchen, 50-plus years down the Jersey Shore, all the way from Ocean City to Cape May, New Jersey, multiple locations in Cape May. 4 locations. Check them out. Fudgekitchens.com. The perfect Mother's Day gift. The perfect Mother's Day gift. They ship it 2 days, depending on where you're at. So even if for last minute people like me, I'll be shipping some fudge to mom. Actually, we'll be in Cape May. So I'm probably going to swing by and pick up some. So check it out, guys. Fudgekitchen.com. Really excited for you guys to listen to the Brett Myers interview. Brett is fantastic. We talked about a lot of different things. As people know, my interview style, I don't really set a direction for the pod unless it's like a short, sweet, we need to conquer some things, which you guys have seen in the past couple of weeks with like predictions and different shows we've done. But with Brett, we talked a lot about the University of Florida. We talked a lot about young athletes these days, the phone. We talked about kids getting outside and competing and his kids playing baseball and get recruited. And we didn't touch a ton. We did a little bit towards the end on like Philly's history, but it was really just 2 guys sitting on a bar stool talking about the world and sports. And Brett's an extremely accomplished baseball player, musician now, coaching, mentoring, and I'm excited to have a couple of beers with Brett at University of Florida when we get down there watching his kid, because I'm a big Florida baseball fan. So yeah, Brett Myers, Phillies legend, Astros. Really excited for you guys to listen to it. It was a good one, about an hour. So thanks for tuning into the show. Hope you guys have a great Mother's Day weekend, and we'll talk to you guys soon. All right, I'm here with Phillies legend Brett Myers. Legend of a lot of things, I'm sure, music as well, and several other teams. But you're a Philly though, right? I mean, it's where you started. You were there for a while.
Oh yeah, I still watch them. Try to catch every game. Opening day the other day, so I try to catch them as much as I can. A little late start to the one last night with the rain delay, but I got it in, even though if I had to stay up a little bit later. But I try to watch them every night as much as possible. Just try to stay. I don't really. I played there the longest, so and still kind of pull for them, even though I'm kind of selfish. I hope they don't win another World Series. Because we were the last team to do it, so it's kind of like one of those things. Like, I want it for the fans. I enjoyed going up there and watching from the other side of the lines. Obviously, watching them in the playoffs and stuff, just to get to feel that atmosphere rather than on the field and stuff. And you kind of notice a little bit more stuff when you're in the stands because you're focusing on the game when you're out there. But I never felt a stadium shake before when they were. The last couple of years they've been there, it was pretty crazy, man.
It is a crazy environment. We'll get into that in a second. But people would say, like, people that aren't competing at the highest level probably won't understand what you're saying. Like, I hope that I want them to win, but I really hope they don't. Like,
yeah, right, yeah.
Even for me, man, like selfishly, like if my projected what I was supposed to be out of high school, I was number 1 tight end in the country,
right,
it would be much different. I would have been maybe first 3-round pick in the NFL, and I've been in and out of the league for like 7 years. I probably wouldn't have a media company. I'd probably just be chilling on the beach in the off season.
Yeah,
and I don't have that freedom. But the last college football game, 2000 whatever, before EA Sports got rid of it. If you just let the season play out like on auto mode, I win tight end of the year every year at the University of Florida, where I started. But I never caught a pass at Florida. I was hurt, and I got asked to leave. So I'm pissed they're coming out with a new video game, Brett, because
I bet. Well, I bet, not playing for so long, with the college stuff too, the NIL stuff and everything it's crazy stuff out there these days. But, everybody says, and I kind of felt bad for the guys that played before us, with my numbers today, shoot, I'd probably be making 20 million a year. And the most I made was 12 in a year, which I'm not complaining, but it's just kind of like how much the times have changed. And then guys like that are Hall of Fame guys, man, making, Nolan Ryan was the first $1 million pitcher ever. Just so you just put that into perspective with how much money these guys are making now and how far it's come.
No question. And right, it's you the group before you laid the foundation, right? Your team laid the foundation, like visibility wise, okay, and like a big market of Philly, and then it goes to the next guy, right? Everyone wants a piece of it. Like literally, I'm trying to play another year in the league, and we're just starting to get to know each other. But I'm trying to play another year in the league. And we'll see what happens if I'm a free agent, I get picked up or not. But long story short, I'm talking to my wife this morning on the couch, and there's like a blocking tight end, which is kind of what I do for Detroit. And he just got a 3-year, $12 million deal. And I was like, damn, I had my best year in 2020, but I wasn't up for a contract. So I just continued my rookie deal, making good money, but nowhere near that, not even close to $1 million. But I'm happy for the guy, man. He deserves it. He's a good player.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much content out there today with even the youth travel stuff. I mean, some of these kids are becoming, because I go through that now with my 3 sons playing and stuff like that. So, the recruiting process is obviously a lot different from when I came through. It was by letter. Now it's like there's certain different things where they can call through a coach to say, have this kid call me, and then they just changed that rule. So they're recruiting 7th and 8th graders and stuff like that, which blows my mind because you don't even know what that kid's going to end up being until he's 17, 18. And then you get that kid on that commitment for so long. And then all of a sudden at the end, you're like, you know what? Never mind. You're not good enough, So like, you don't want to peak too early with that stuff, but like the perfect games and the stuff that the social media and everything that pushes these kids' names and everything like that makes these kids superstars before they even make $1 or even get drafted, so.
Or throw a strike in the majors.
Right, exactly. So like some of these kids that I'm watching and I'm going, man, they are putting a lot of emphasis on this 12-year-old right now. And I'm going, what in the hell's going on? Like I think to myself, like when I was 12, I'd probably kick that kid's ass. Like just like thinking of stuff like that. If but I don't necessarily think it's a good thing or a bad thing. I more or less, I would like a kid not to think that he's all that, and I'd like for him to earn it first. And give them some kind of the NIL stuff. Like give the kids something to play for. Like they're going to school, they're making all this money. What's the point of playing in the NFL at this point?
Well, they make more. Like, they make more.
Right.
They make more than us.
What's the end goal if you're thinking about that? Like I know as a kid, my end goal was to play in the big league. So if I'm making, $12 million in college or something like that, playing football, whatever these kids are making or something like that, what is my incentive to not go back to college for one more year instead of going and playing in the NFL? I mean, if that's the ultimate where you want to go, they're making it to where college now you're getting paid just if it's about the money. It was never about the money to me. I wanted to compete, man. At the highest level. Right. And, have a chance to, be an all-star, win a World Series, stuff like that. I mean, there's obviously a lot of emphasis on that, but it was never really about the money for me. That was just to take care of the family. But with these kids making all these money, I just don't see the incentive of trying to go play pro and start their pro career because, I mean, first year when I got drafted in rookie ball, I was making $850 a month. I mean, that ain't shit. You know what I mean? Like that's having 4 roommates and hoping we can get the light bill paid. You know what I mean? So, and that's not complaining. It's just the way the times were. I mean, I sound like one of those old guys now, but now, I came into the league, the league minimum was 200,000 and now it's 700,000. So it's like, these guys are making $1 million and it's good. It's fine. That means the game's flourishing. That's great.
Yeah.
But, at the same time, it's just that, there's no incentive if I was making that money in college to go make $850 a month. You're living off your signing bonus, obviously.
Yeah.
And that can go quick depending on how much you get. So
Yeah, that's the old per diem pack. Take the money, go to the bar with it, and see how long it
Right.
lasts. That's the old days.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
what we used to do. No, there's a lot
Right.
to unpack there, and there's so much we get into. But I like going back, and that's why I don't like having an agenda for the show, because this is great. I think
Yep.
you can give some great advice for parents, because, and I talk a lot of stuff on the show. When I have we do a pre-show before every interview, and I always give a little advice, because so many parents ask me for something like, "Hey, my kid plays football. What sport should he be playing in the spring? He's a quarterback. Should he be a pitcher?" I don't know that question I would ask you, right?
Right.
Right. Like, so stuff like that. So for me, like for parents, because like you want your kid to develop, and the nice thing from you is you made it to the highest level, and you competed at the highest level, and you performed at the highest level. So you're kind of sitting back like, all right, guys, this is a bullshit. Like, some of these kids don't even have to be playing in all these tournaments and all this stuff. Like, where's the fine line? Where's like, yes, we want to be good parents, and then where's like, no, we can't be too loosey-goosey.
I just the way stuff's happening so early these days with these kids. Like, I mean, they're having this. I'm watching 11, 12-year-olds play on teams and Perfect Game promoting it and stuff, and I'm just like, man, at what point do you just let a kid be a kid? I'll take my kids out there, like they'll play tournaments, and it's a lot, man. I didn't play this much when I was growing up. We didn't have travel ball, and it's like there's a tournament. It's a I hate to say it's a money grab, but it kind of is. I mean, they're making money off of these parents that are willing to say, "Hey, we got to play to get better, so my kid can have a chance to play at the next level." Well, that's not all necessarily the case. I mean, I take my kids out every day, about 4:00, 4:15, and we'll hit for an hour, hit 100 balls a day, and I'm like, "All right, I don't care what else you do the rest of the day. See you later."
Yeah.
So like just get some kind of work in. You don't want to push them so hard to where they go, "I hate this."
Yeah.
And I guess that's where I get to the point where I just say, "Hey, just give me an hour out of your time a day, and let's go hit some baseballs and and stuff." And then they'll play on weekends that usually it's two weekends a month and stuff like that. And it's just let's get to the bottom dollar of this thing, man. Your kid's not going to be a big leaguer. He's not going to be an NFL tight end. He's not going to play in the NFL. Let's just be realistic. If you go into it with that mindset, then I think that you'll be okay with it. But I think at such an early age, these parents think, "Oh, he's such a good player. He's going to be a big leaguer." Well, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if he's going to get hurt or if he's going to, end up running off with his girlfriend. Like, there's a lot of distractions, and
Nowadays, for sure.
right.
Always has been. Yeah.
Right. And I know this sounds crazy and probably cliche with everything that people say, but since I was 7, I had one goal, and all I cared about was playing in the big leagues.
Me too.
That's all I cared about.
Yep.
I didn't care about girls. I mean, and I didn't chase them. I thought I tell my kids, I'm like, girls ruin ERAs and batting averages because it's a distraction. But I mean, I know it's just me being goofy.
No,
like,
but
I want them to focus on if
Yeah.
they really. I had to ask my oldest boy, who's signed to University of Florida. Funny that
Go Gators.
he went there too. Yeah, that's right. So he should be there next year. And I'm just telling him, hey, if I asked him when he was 15 years old going into high school, this is my question to him. I said, "How bad do you want it, man?" And he's like, "I want it really bad." I'm like, "Well, you're gonna hate me the next 4 years because I'm not gonna let you slack off because you just told me that you want it. So let me show you what it kind of takes, how hard you got to work and push yourself to be to that type of caliber player that you're talking about you want to be at." Now, at 12, 13 years old, what kid's not going to say they want to play in the big leagues? You know what I mean? So I waited until he was somewhat mature enough going into high school to say, "All right, now your clock starts, man. Like, this is when it starts. 15 through your senior year in high school. This is the time where colleges are starting to recruit the kids pretty tough in the summers. Like, if I could tell you, doing this the last 3-4 years with him and coaching some of the stuff and just watching the colleges just pile up behind these tournaments and stuff like that. It's crazy. And it's easy for them because Perfect Game allows them to see all these kids in one spot.
Yeah.
Now they have a list of the kids and who they are and stuff like that. So I mean, the Gators actually told my son 3 times no, and I was like, good. I was like, this is good for you. I didn't tell him that to his face, but I'm like, but this is what it's going to take. All right, you just had probably in the last 30 years the top 2 baseball programs in the country has been LSU and Florida, in my opinion. You know, now Miami and they've all had their years, but consistently these 2 schools have been the top 2, right? So I was like, well, you just have one of the top schools in the country tell you no. So, you know, like, what are you going to do about it? You know, and then it just kind of, I think it fueled his fire more and more each time. He's like, well, I'll show them type stuff. And then finally, going into his junior year, they saw something that they had missed, I guess. And they were like, we messed up. So we'd like to do it. And he actually was like, nah, let me think about it. Which was great because LSU was actually talking to him at the time too. So it was great because he was able to say, let me think about it. And then because they literally told him on the phone 2 days before they actually called and offered him that he wasn't going to play there. Like he wasn't going to come in and start there. And then 2 days later they say, hey, we want you. And I'm like, what changed? Like, what happened? You know, so he must have done something that they liked and they saw. But that's something if you want to tell parents, like, it's okay to be told no. Like, either there's 2 things you can do. You either quit or you just do it for fun, or you just go, you know what? Screw you, man. I'm about to show you. You know, I'm gonna prove to you that you missed on this. You know, so that's 2 different personalities, 2 different ways you can go about it. Like for me, I was told no my whole life too. And I'm like, well, I'll just outwork you. And that's the only thing I can instill in my kids is just, if you're not doing it, somebody else is, basically. So when I take my 12 and 13-year-old out there to hit every day, I go, hey, you're doing something somebody else isn't. You know, like just put the work in and you'll have success. And obviously they sit there and they go, I don't want to go today. I'm like, well, if you hit like shit this weekend, you'll know why, because you missed that one day. So it's kind of like kind of, but that had nothing to do with it. Either they can hit or baseball's hard, right? So, but when they do have success and they see that the work they're putting in is benefiting them on game days, then obviously that makes them want to work more, you know. And then on the backside of that, when they struggle, I'm like, well, what do you have to do to get better? They're like, well, I got to work a little harder. So it's all about putting the work in. And
that's great.
And you got to have some luck, some genetics.
You create your own luck, though.
Right.
No, genetics are huge, right? Like I'm 6'5", 250. Like right. You're a big boy or you're an athlete, obviously, but like you create your own luck, and that luck's through the work. And then also like having the savviness and the street smarts, which I know you have, and I'm sure your kids do too, of like, you know what? I got to navigate out of this bad situation, whether you're out partying or you're in doing baseball and someone's being a jackass, or you got to step in. Like, you know, I think there's you know, bad bounces, of course, but you create your own luck. I believe that.
We all make mistakes. I mean, with some of that stuff of decision making, because we're all kids, and then you grow older and you're like, what the hell was I doing? Like, it's stupid, you know. But you know. Testosterone's a crazy thing when you're young, man. You know, so
dude, that's great. He's going to Florida though. Dude, get Florida baseball. What a facility, Sully. Like my buddy's equipment manager there. I know all those guys. That was a great place.
Yeah, I've become over the last couple of years since I committed to play at University of Florida as well. Never made it there, but I was never really a Gator fan, you know, and I was like a Florida State fan. But when Florida State, I sent them a letter. My senior year, I was like, hey, why haven't you guys reached out to me? I want to come to Florida State. They're like, you're not going to make it here. And they were like, we're not in on you. And I was like, well, shit. And then I told my dad, I said, next school that calls, I'm just committing. I don't care. I was like, I didn't care at that point. You know, I was like, my full goal was knew I was going to be a first rounder. I mean, not necessarily that I knew that, but that was my full intention, that I was going to be a first rounder and not make it to school, honestly. But and it worked out that way.
Sometimes you got to cut the net off, though. You know, like
I was done with it. I was tired of listening to it.
Yeah, you don't need. Sometimes when there's that net underneath you, you know, where you're like, screw it, I'm going to be a first round pick.
Yeah.
Like I guess I could fall back on school, but like that's not even in the cards for me. I think that produces some of the best guys. Like some of the guys I play with that are from really rough areas, and they're some of my best friends.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, screw it. I didn't have another
Yeah.
option.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think that's one of the things that a lot of that you might hear some people talk about. I know I talk about it, is like everybody, like there was no plan B.
No.
There's no plan B whatsoever for me. There was nothing. It was either big leagues or bust, or I was going to be a used car salesman or bagging groceries at the
Jack's
dang
Beach.
grocery store.
Jack's
Something, yeah,
Beach.
man. So I'm like, so there was no backup plan for me. I didn't care about school, and I know that sounds terrible. Kids got to go to school.
A little different
man.
now.
Yeah,
Different.
I mean, I went to Inglewood, that everybody knew I was a good ball player. They were just trying to get me out of the damn school more than anything. So, but yeah, so I mean, there was no plan B, and nowadays you look at draft stuff, things have changed a lot, man. There's not many high school kids coming out of high school. Now there is a few top round guys, but I mean, you look at what they're doing with the college stuff now. You look at Wyatt Langford, who went to Florida last year. He's in the big leagues. He's in the big leagues. I mean, right. So I mean, you look at that and you go, well, shoot, man, they're putting a lot of emphasis on college players nowadays more than they are the high school guys. And now there is those high school guys like the Jackson Holidays that come out and you're just like, holy shit, like there's just, he's not going to benefit going to college. He's that.
I believe that
player
guys need it though, right? Like the development and the really making mistakes. Like you're able to when you're in college, but when you're in pro, and that's why I tell people about the NFL when some guys, hey, should I go out early, or what advice could you give me? I'm like, and I'm sure like this in baseball. Now baseball, you got different levels.
Right.
AAA, work your way through.
Now they've cut that down a lot. That's why it's more emphasis on the college guys now, because there's like eight different levels in
like low A,
baseball.
high A.
Yeah. Like
so I tell
ball.
guys, I'm like, you better, when you go to the NFL, you can't have, oh, I'm going to work on my this or that. Like everything's got to be good to great. You can't have a huge hole or they're going to expose it.
Right. And and the same for me. Like I threw hard out of high school. I had good shit, obviously, but I still had to develop, and I needed the minors to develop that. That's why they had the levels. But in college, I look at it this way. Like for instance, Sully or any major university, those guys have to win, or they don't get paid. They get fired. And those guys are making $1 million, $2 million a year, man. So it's like, if I don't win, I lose my job.
Yep.
So that money's gone. So at that point in time, and I was never really a guy, when I was getting paid to play, I'm like, just give me the ball. I don't give a shit. Like get out of my way, and that was the way I was in the big leagues. Don't try to take the ball from my hand. Now in the minors, I was kind of the same way, but they were trying to develop me to that point it really doesn't count right now, dude. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't count. They're going to need you healthy in the next couple of years in the big leagues type stuff. So, and I think college, I think they're doing a better job at it with the pitchers and stuff, but they got to win, man. So if that guy's got to throw an extra 15 to 20 pitches to get them out of an inning, then so be it. That's going to happen,
Yeah.
And I believe you only have so many bullets. So, but at some point, I think they're doing a better job with that, but
no doubt. The next thing is they have nutritionists, like they're going to learn to become pros. Like I was there in Florida, man. I've been a lot. I got recruited all over. Your son's getting recruited. There's very few places better than that place to be a student athlete. Like, and that
we
university,
went in September,
they care about you at that school. Like, that's not just like shoo, you're an athlete, go ahead. And everybody may roll their eyes at that, but that is true. Like anybody can get through college, you show up and you do all right. But if you like invest in it, you're going to get something out of it. Plus, like they're going to learn. You could think you're a pro. You go to that place, or you go to these big universities, you go to the majors, NFL, whatever, and it's almost easier because of your rigid schedule, my opinion.
And I think that's what's going to benefit my kid more than anything, to put him on consistency, of just the daily routine type stuff. And I mean, I had to develop that in the minors and try to put together a routine. Now it obviously changed over the years but I stuck to some of the base core stuff that I did, but it was just trying to learn what I needed to do to get ready to play and all that stuff. And I think going to Florida after going there in September on his official visit and seeing that they have a full building just for the student athletes that only they can get into. It's like, okay.
Academic building.
Right. And then to go look at the cafeteria, it's freaking Dave and Buster's, man. I'm going, what the hell is this? Like, can I come back, man? Like, like it's just crazy how well they get treated. I'm like, I told my son, I said, I can tell you this right now, man. And now I know times have changed. The minors and stuff, they're starting to feed the guys better with nutrition and stuff and everything. But when in the minor leagues, dude, I'm telling you, like we had our clubhouse. My first full season was in a trailer. It's like, and then we're eating
a soggy sub.
Right, we're eating peanut butter and jelly. Didn't even get a sub, dude. No, it was peanut butter and jelly, man. That was it. So, and you didn't know how many roaches or anything ran on the stuff. Like just wasn't like.
You had no money either.
Great.
It's not like you're going out and grocery shopping.
Right. And I'm 19 years old in Piedmont, North Carolina, Kannapolis, North Carolina, going, what the hell am I supposed to do?
Game's a little bit different now.
Right. So, I mean, but I had to learn I was trying to adapt then, man. And you just kind of bury your head in your work at that point, and just like, all right, I got to get the hell out of here is what I mainly was thinking. Each level I went to, I was thinking to myself, I got to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Because I know it's really good at the top. Like I know it's really good up there, So, I mean, we didn't fly until AAA, and then we were taking buses. From the longest one I think I've been on was in Delmarva. So Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, like all meets right there. And that was A-ball, I think. And we had to drive to Savannah. So like close, like an hour and a half, 2 hours from where I'm from. And I'm going, that's like a 13-hour freaking ride, 14-hour ride on a bus.
And I'm not even pitching this weekend.
I'm like, shit, like, what is this? And the guy never knew how to work the AC or the heat. So if it was hot, it was, the AC didn't work, and if it was cold, the heat didn't work. I don't know what he was doing, but he'd get pulled over every trip. It was fun. I mean, it's good stories to have with it, but it's seriously like watching Major League, when they with the bus like this. Like if you watch the Bull Durham and stuff. Yeah, it's like that. Like it's just like that stuff. So
that's the good stuff, man. Your son's not going to have that in Florida.
Right.
I know what it's like to be a student athlete there. We're jacked to watch them. Like I watch a bunch of games and
I try to catch them we just went there this past weekend and watched them. So I try to catch them every time they play, just more or less just to watch what they have to see if my kid can even play there more than anything. Like, all right, can he play with that kid?
Too. Like, man, you get the nice thing too about when you go there or any of these big places, you just, even though he's obviously comes from a great home, he's fed the whole nine, but you just become a part of the machine there.
Right.
And it's like class, food,
right,
workout.
That's what I meant. Consistency. That's what I mean.
It's
consistency
nonstop.
With him.
Your whole day.
I get on to him about that around here because he's homeschooled. We homeschooled him last year and this year because he would go to school and they didn't feed him right and stuff. Like he would eat before he went to school, maybe, and then grab lunch, maybe, and then go practice and then come home. So I'm on him about all the time. He needed to put on weight. He'd come home 165 pounds at the end of the year. And I'm like, he went in at like 175. And now it's better now that he's homeschooled. I finally got him to 190. And I'm like, but you go to Florida, man, they're going to put 10 to 15 pounds on him in 6 weeks there.
Oh, yeah.
So like I'm looking forward to more of it than he is probably. I mean, obviously every kid wants to go play pro and stuff and start their journey. But I kind of wish I, at this point, would have went to college just to get the experience,
And what you would have looked like, I think how it matters is later in your career. It's not early on, because early on you're fighting, but it's like later in your career. I didn't beat myself up as much early on because I was on a regiment, whatever. So no, it's a freaking great spot, man.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, when I transferred, I got medically disqualified. So I broke my right foot twice and I broke my left foot. And they're like, hey, your career's over. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm going to be fine. And that's how I ended up leaving. I didn't want to. Met my wife there. But my dad was more upset than I was because I became great friends with the baseball guys. This is like 2010, 2011, 2012, that era of baseball guys.
Mm-hmm.
And we would go to the swamp when it was there. They leveled it, but we would have a bunch of beers with all the baseball guys on their way to spring training. All the old guys are my boys.
Right.
And then my dad's like, this is the best. We walked to the baseball game,
Right.
hang out, and then whoever was playing the baseball game would walk with us back to the swamp for beers. And it's a good culture,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. I'm my daughter actually goes to University of Florida now as well. So
Cool.
so I have hopefully, I have 2 of them there next year, and so now I guess I'm a Gator fan. But I like to say the football team really pissed me off last year a lot.
Oh.
So
They got
I'm like,
battle, man.
yeah. So I'm like, listen, I'm not wearing any Gator stuff during football season until they get a little better than this shit. And then
Damn
so I wear all the Florida stuff during baseball season. They're like, oh, your kid's going to Florida, and I'm like, yeah, my daughter's actually at Florida, so I can get away with wearing this. Okay, so it's not just because my son is signed to go play there. It's I actually enjoy. I know Sully well, so we became friends.
Sure.
So because
I'm sure he loves having you around.
well, he'll come and say, you got to talk to this kid for me, and I'm like, what do you want me to tell him? Like, I don't even know this kid. But
Also, I want my son to beat him out. Let him keep struggling.
It's the pitchers. I ain't talking to that stuff. So my kid plays infield, but he can pitch. But who knows? Like all these kids these days try to be like Shohei Ohtani. So
we'll get him. Maybe we'll get him back. All right, talking to Brett Myers. Great to have him on the show, man. We killed the first half show at least talking about Gators and life, which is great. Phillies, Astros, White Sox, Indians.
Mm-hmm.
Great run, man, in the majors. Let's got to talk about Philly, right? Like
I tricked him for a while, I guess.
I hear you, man. Hey, fake it till you make it. I faked
That's
7, 8 years out of one, but
yeah.
It's what a great place that city is to play sports. I never played professionally there, but I grew up there. I played college at Temple when I transferred, and we had some really good years when I was there. I think it's the best fan base in the world. It's not the nicest people, but I think it's the best fans in the world.
I'm an asshole too, so I
it was great.
I grew up like with a chip on my shoulder and just
that's
like,
that city.
I felt like everybody was in my way type thing. So like I didn't have a problem telling those fans to kiss my ass, if I had to, but they're awesome though. I mean, what I had to explain to a guy one time, he would come up to me like I might have went to the bar after the game or something, had a beer with the wife or something, and he'd be like, "You effing suck tonight." I said, "No shit, I was there, buddy. Like I was out there." I was like, nobody was booing me harder than myself. All right.
You think I want to do that?
Yeah, I'm not trying to go suck, dude. Trust me. It's just sometimes it doesn't work out, man. So the guy's like, "Oh." Like I shut him up pretty quick, but then he's like, "Let me buy you a beer." I'm like, "All right, cool." So like that's the kind of people they are. They're not going to sugarcoat it. So if you have to, the worst thing I think I did one time, maybe 2 times, is make an excuse for why it didn't go right. Until I got smart enough or more mature enough, I guess I would say, to where the reporters would ask me, "So tell me what happened tonight." Instead of just telling them, what went wrong and make it sound like I was making an excuse, I just say, "I sucked tonight." And then they'd go, "Well, can you elaborate?" "Yeah, I sucked. What else do you want me to tell you? I was terrible." And then they go, "All right, thank you." And that was the end of the thing. So there was nothing to write the next day about it. And that's what the fans wanted to hear. They didn't, because they watched it. They know you suck. Like as long as I could be real with myself and say, "Hey, I sucked tonight. I'll get back to work. Go get them the next time." I'm not gonna, obviously I'm not happy with the way I performed and stuff, but I'm not trying to go out there and suck. It just happens, I'm out there competing. I'm not going to have my best stuff every time I walk out there. I'm out there trying to compete. I'm not giving up, I think that's one of the things why I feel like Philly fans like me, because I was just that hard-nosed type player that was always pissed off when I went on the mound. I pitched off of intimidation, I guess you would say. I didn't like the hitter when he stepped in there. If he got a hit off of me, I kind of wanted to fight him. Just like certain things like but that's the way I took it. I grew up boxing. It was like me versus him, and the guy caught me, like I want to hit him back, and it's just kind of the way it was. But having the fan base, especially like like I was there for the first, 02 to almost making the playoffs, 05, 06.
The new ballpark, probably too.
Right. Yeah, it was 04 was the first year of that. So I got there, I played a full year in the vet.
Oh wow.
And then the new ballpark came around, and then and like we had talent. We were just young and like didn't put it together. We would always like fight for that last wild card spot from like 05 to 06. I felt like just like literally watching the last game of the season, hoping somebody lose so we could have a playoff with them, or we get in from a half a game, something like that. And it never worked out that way. But and then 07, getting in, and it was just like place crazy, man. It just, and then you don't really notice it when you're playing as much. I don't think, like, if you're sitting back and you're in the dugout while we're playing, like you kind of you're watching the game, not really kind of soaking it all in, at least for me. And because people are always like, oh, you're bad against CC, like in 08, like what were you think? The fans are going crazy. I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't even paying attention.
That's CC throwing. I'm focused on
I'm got a guy that's 6'7", 6'8", throwing 100 miles an hour at me. Yeah, I'm paying attention to them waving their towels like, geez Louise, man.
He was a good player, man.
And he was on a tear that year too. So it was like I was just trying to match him more or less. Just try to give us a chance to get him out of there type thing, because I mean, on paper, no way I'm supposed to win that game. If you look at who he was compared to where I was in my career and stuff. The guys did a great job up there, and we took him out and ended up winning that. And then I was that whole run from just to be there from the bad times, I guess, where we were fighting, but we weren't really there. And then to have that 3-year run, going to the World Series twice, it was just like, once we had a taste of that playoffs in 07, there was no doubt in my mind we were going to be ready for 08 when we won it, because it just, the feeling in the clubhouse was just completely different. It's like, all right, we know what it takes now. We know what it smells like. So now we're going to go get it. So I felt like, I said in the paper, and Jimmy and Ryan Howard got pissed off at me about it, because I said before we left, when we played Colorado, I was like, it just kind of feels like that we're happy to be here type thing. It was just something that I said. Because I wanted to pitch more than anything. They didn't like it, because obviously that's not how they felt. But I'm just like watching it going, that's how I feel about it. But it's not necessarily the case, but just kind of looked like it to me. And they got on to me about it. And I'm like, yeah, I said it. You want to fight about it? Like, I don't care. Like step your game up, dude. Like, what do you want me to tell you, man? Like,
challenge me. Tell me I'm wrong,
Yeah. Prove me wrong type thing. So. And Colorado had a good run that year, so but after they had the young pitching, and we played them not to make an excuse when we played them. Like, they had Ubaldo Jimenez throwing 100, and every one of our games, like before in Philly, I'll tell you this: we're talking about media, like they get a lot of coverage now. I was so mad when we were in Philly, when I was playing in Philly. We never were on ESPN. We never played an ESPN game. We never had the early years of my career until like 07, then like all of a sudden in 08 we're on ESPN, and I'm going, oh, you win a little bit, they start saying you're one of the better teams. Now they're like they got Harper and those guys, that they're one of the most televised teams, like the Yankees. If you watch, the Yankees and Red Sox are all over TV every time you turn on ESPN.
Dodgers,
Phillies, we were never on TV and stuff like that. So we never really got promoted as much as, we weren't really a great team.
It was either, you guys were like you're saying, you were like on the outside looking in, you had stars.
Right.
I think the cool part for me was, and that's what Philly wraps their arm around the entire team, but you guys had a different personality and a different type of player that every fan could wrap their arm around and be like, that's my guy. Like,
right.
I love Chooch. Like, obviously you know him personally, but like he just seemed like he always was just, I don't know, something about him. And I love catchers. I think they're just cool. They're just got to deal with a bunch of shit and they're tough. I love that. But like he was great. Obviously you, but like the infield was ridiculous and the talent, and then Bat Burrow. Like there was just so many guys to wrap your arm around. I thought that was a really cool part of the team.
Yeah, and shoot, we get in arguments. I mean, you've probably seen in the NFL locker rooms like we didn't. I mean, I was the team guy. Like I would try to do everything I could to be like the team guy type thing, but I was also the asshole.
Like dinners, drink, like where are we going? We're doing stuff.
Yeah, I wanted, but I was also the asshole, so they didn't really want to like hang around me as much because I would just call it like I saw it, like I would just say it. I didn't care, like if it hurt your feelings, sorry about it, don't really care. But we had our moments and stuff where we would get in scuffles and stuff, but that didn't change anything for what we were trying to put on the field. Like I might I could just say that, might say something in the paper that pissed Jimmy off or Ryan or whatever, but then the next time I go back out there, there'll be the one running up to me saying, hey, do this, do that. It wasn't like, I hope this guy fails just because he said that, you know what I mean? Like it was like, I got your back, you got mine. So that was the aura of that team. Like they knew if anybody messed with them, I was going to fight them. Like I had their back, and I knew the same for them. So, it wasn't much of a selfish team that we had, even though, Jimmy was Jimmy. If we had to play his music, and that dude's changed the fastest I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, he would literally show up 5 minutes before we had to stretch and just somehow jump in a Superman booth and be out there buckling his belt when we're
win the MVP.
I'm like, how in the hell do you change that fast?
Who was like the best? Right, even the NFL, right? There's certain guys that you play with, like there's Pro Bowlers. Then there's like one that's like, holy shit, this guy's different. Like, who was that guy?
I never really thought of it that way. I thought we were all on equal type stuff, but I mean, everybody had their quirks. Like Chase never said a word, and he'd like to mess with people, but then not say a word about it. Like
he was like dry.
No, he just didn't say a word. He
really?
He went about his business. He didn't say much,
He was a machine.
Yeah, and he was a great player, man. And I mean, he had his things and stuff. And I know, I mean, I would get in the cold tub, when my hip was bothering me or something, and he knew I was getting in it every day. So when he got out of it, he'd make sure it was like 30 degrees when I got in it. And then he would sit there in the hot tub and just stare at me and just kind of look at me. And I just look at him. He's like I didn't even want to acknowledge him that it's cold as shit in here, and I'm not going to let you know that it's cold. So if I get one day, I guess he had said something to me, or I said something to him or something about it, and he goes, "How did you let it go that long with it?" I said, "I ain't gonna let you have the satisfaction of thinking that you're making it, that you're hurting me in here." It's just like I wasn't gonna let you win, dude.
Oh,
so, but yeah, I mean, we had our. It was just
how was Cole Hamels?
So he was me and him were tight. So
that's where I thought you were going to go with, like the dude who's like super gifted and is a really good player.
But honestly, man, like when I knew he was good, he was a lefty, so they're always weird.
Yeah,
and then
they're like goalies.
Yeah, like most lefties are weird. He was kind of like not a nerd, but just, I guess I can call him a nerd, but like he just kind of like was just like, I would sit there. I remember having a conversation with him at his locker, and he goes, "All right, I got to go get dressed for the game." And I'm like, "You're pitching today?" Like you wouldn't even know that he was pitching that day. He was just always calm and cool, and then when he stepped across those lines, he was an asshole. And that's what I was like, how in the hell does he do that? Because the days that I pitched, I had to be an asshole the whole day. Like I couldn't turn it on and turn it off. I learned from him actually later in my career to be able how to,
once you get that skill though, that's how I was like early on, Brett. I would build this chip. I would build this chip. And then later, and listen to certain music and just get all fired up. Mm-hmm. Later on, I was like, I'm putting on reggae. I'm going to walk out here. Yep. And I'm just going to play like I practice.
Yep. And I did the same thing. The older I got, I mean, once, like I had a rule where I had a 2 days before I start, I didn't drink. I didn't have anything, you know. It's like, so it was like a super high focus, and I would worry myself the night before I started of what their lineup was going to be.
Isn't
And
that crazy?
that's the kind of, well, yeah, it drove me nuts.
Yeah.
It really drove me nuts. And then later in my career, I was like, I would drink 6 beers before the night before I'd go pitch. And I'm like, just to go to sleep and relax, like just in my room, drink about 5, 6 beers after the game, and then wake up at noon the next day and head to the ballpark, you know?
Yeah, you
And
just treat it like normal practice.
yeah, I was just like, whatever. And I got to the field and I was, what's up, everybody? Before I was like, all my teammates would make fun of me because they were like, oh, it's really quiet in here. Myers must be pitching. So I mean, that was just the way it was, man. I didn't talk the days I pitched because I wouldn't say necessarily stressed out. I mean, butterflies crazy, you know, because the hardest thing is like, you don't know what's going to happen. Like I've had bullpens where I go out to the bullpen before the game and I go, oh shit, this is going to be a long day. And then all of a sudden, the first pitch I throw to the first hitter is just dotted up on the corner. And I go, oh, they're in trouble. Like, you see that roller coaster that you ride, man? It's just like, I'm like, it's going to suck today. And then that first pitch you throw, they're like, oh, they're in trouble. So I the mental game of that stuff, try to differentiate. Okay, the bullpen is just to warm up. I don't care how good your stuff is because the mound is different out there. To try to basically trick yourself before you go out there, to tell yourself that, and it just it's all a game that you play with yourself in your head. And I feel like Hamels, he was so consistent with everything that he did with preparation and looking like he really didn't give a shit. I mean, that's really what it looked like to me. It looked like he didn't care, and he just went out there and competed his ass off, and he could pitch, man. And I think one of the good things that happened for him was having Jamie Moyer around too. I mean, it was great for all of us, but them both being lefty and stuff, and I never really had that guy early in my career. I think I got Millwood was there for a year or so, maybe, I think. Yeah. And so I learned enough from him, but after that, like, I was the guy. You know what I mean? Like, I was the dude that they were having in the top of the rotation stuff, and I'm going, man, I'm still green, man. I don't know all the tricks. You know, I need somebody to that's actually going through it with me to help me. And later in my career, I got chances to do that. I always loved having older guys around. When I was in Houston, I had Oswalt, so I still was learning then. I had 10 years in the big leagues, and I'm like, I still learning from him and stuff that he does, you know?
Yeah.
So
it was needed more when you're older because
it's just something to talk about. Like,
yeah,
when I got Blanton in 08, like, we had similar stuff. So it was like, hey, what'd you see last night? Or he'll ask me, what'd you see this night? Hey, how do you get this guy out type thing. So we had similar stuff. So it was easy for us to kind of bounce ideas off it. How am I going to go to Cole Hamels and go, how do you get this guy out? And he goes, change-ups. I'm like, well, my change-up sucks. So guess what? I'm screwed. You know, so
a little bit different for Cole.
Right. So it's like, even though we can talk philosophy, that's fine. But like stuff-wise, I'm like, Cole, I can't pitch like you. I don't have the same shit as you.
No different than football, man. I'm like talking to tight ends. I'm like, guys, I can't get it done like you can, but I can help you mentally what you need to do to get to in a certain place.
Right.
I actually met Joe this year at I bartended at Dutch Dalton Foundation event.
Yep.
It was a really cool event, really first class. And
JB. I tell you, it's funny. We had shirts made with me and Joe because he's from Kentucky and I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. And we both that 08 run, we were both bringing moonshine on the plane, and so they called it. I had shirts made. We called ourselves the Redneck Wrecking Crew. It's kind of funny, but you can't use that word anymore, I guess, these days. I don't know.
Yeah, you can. You're fine. But that's my part about that team, right? Is like, you guys had fun. It seemed like you guys had a great time. The city wrapped their arms around you guys, but you guys gave it right back to the city, and every different personality was so fun. That was like, for me, that was I was in like 8th, 9th grade, so that was like prime time for me. We're going to parade, running around. But
yeah.
I need to ask you, we'll touch on some parade stuff quick, and then we're going to talk about some music stuff. We'll wrap things up. Your boys got batting practice here in a little bit.
That's all right.
They'll be fine. I need a parade story, right? I think we all
All
do.
right,
And I know you've told a lot of them, but give me your best one.
The specific ones, man, that just stick out to me because so when we woke up that morning, like, I mean, I'm ready to party. Like I don't care. I'm ready to drink and like go crazy on these float or whatever the hell we were riding on with a porta potty next to us and shit like that. It was crazy. But so we get there and they look at me and they're like, "There's no beer up here." There was like no coolers. There's no beer. There was nothing. I'm going, "Oh, that can't happen." Like I'm like, "No way." So there was this guy walking down the street and I had some cash on me and I said, "Hey, is there a liquor store open?" He's like, "There's a beer mart right down the street." And I told him, I don't know how many cases I told him to go get, but enough to where the whole float could be. They didn't tell us anything really. They didn't tell us what to bring. Like we didn't eat. Like there was no food. Like they didn't say, "Hey, eat something before you get on the float. We're gonna be on the floats for 2 or 3 hours." Like nothing. Then you got to speak over here. It's like when we got there, they told us. I'm like, shit. So and then they told me I had to speak in like Citizens Bank. Like I was like, "What do you mean?" Like on a stage in front of the crowd, and they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, hold on a second." I told the guy on the street, I said, "Go get me a bunch of beer, dude. Here's like $200." I'm like, "Go get me whatever and keep the change for yourself. I don't care." So him and 3 or 4 guys bring back these cases of beer and they set them we get them on the float and shit. And I'm going, "All right, now we're ready." So we sat and it's hot. Like, I mean, kind of hot, I guess. The sun's out and so there's like no shade on us and we're just riding around the town down Broad, and I don't know where the hell all we went, but we started drinking on that thing. I'm sure other guys had stuff on their floats too, because I tossed them a few beers, but so we didn't eat anything, and I don't even know what time it was really. One time we had to do the speeches, but we were all pretty lubed up at that point in time. But as we're riding, I never forget this part. This guy, people are on the streets and they have their coolers out and they're sitting on their coolers on the side of the street drinking beers, waving at us and stuff like that. And I'll never forget this one dude, he tossed a Heineken bottle like at us. And I'm like, oh shit. Like I reached out and caught it with one hand. If I didn't catch it, it would have smoked somebody right in the head or broke somewhere and cut people up. I was like, "Oh my God, dude, like, what are you doing?" Like, I was thinking you're gonna throw like a Miller Lite, a can or something up there, and it's a freaking bottle. And I remember catching that and I go, "Well, screw it." And then I just started drinking it, but I was like, thank God I caught it. And then we get into because Utley was with me, Worth, Burl, I think Howard. Yeah. So like when we get into the stadium, we're looking for food. Like they had cleared out the whole freaking clubhouse. There's no chips. There's like nothing in there, dude. We haven't ate anything all day. And it's probably like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, I think, maybe later than that. I don't know. But so that's the famous Utley world fucking champions or whatever like that. Do you think if the guy doesn't talk, I told you that he doesn't say anything. So you think he was sober when he went up there and said that?
It's good to hear him talk.
Well, everybody said that they thought I was going to do that. Like they thought I was the one that was going to say it. Now, if I did say that, oh my God, they would have berated me.
They killed him too, which I thought was ridiculous. Some people killed him for it. I'm like, come on.
Good. Who cares, man? Now it's like one of the greatest things ever. People's like, world fucking champions. Like, oh yeah, dude. It's like it was awesome.
It was awesome.
We were all laughing. We didn't know it was on live TV. We had no idea it was live TV. I'm like, oh no, man. When we found that out later, and then that night, it was Halloween. So I took my kids around. So I was still drinking when I was walking. I didn't care. I think I drank for like 3 or 4 straight days, man.
Oh yeah.
Like I was just like, this is great. Like I don't want
it to end. Have like a party for you guys or anything, or like did Charlie do something? Or
I don't know. I was drunk for 3 straight days. I remember the float stuff, and then I remember trick or treating with my kids that night after we did the parade and everything, and knocking on people's doors. Like my kids knock on people's doors, and it was kind of funny to see their faces when I was standing there asking for candy for the
I saw you on
kids. But
TV. How are you? Upright. Where'd you guys live? You
Yeah.
guys live in Jersey or live in Philly? Or?
I lived in Glen Mills.
Oh,
Glen
no.
Mills, so south of the city. So I had a little spot out there. It was good. Like it's right outside Westchester, so it's like
Yeah.
all near there. So
Yeah.
we loved it out there. Still got friends up there and everything too. So
That's
that
a good
was
place, man. I love it. It's good.
except
people.
for the rock quarry that went off at noon every day. That was
And
fun.
ran through your house.
Yeah, it shook the house, but it was fine. I loved it. But yeah, one thing I learned about Philly is those people like to drink a lot.
They do. Yes, we do.
and that's okay. I didn't have a problem with it, but it definitely rubbed off on me when I was there. Like every night, like my neighbors are like, "You want to have some beers?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine with me." They just get after it, and I realized that I wouldn't say it's a problem because I never would say it's a problem, but when you have, so like in Florida, you can go buy a 6-pack of beer. I think it's changed now, but when we were there, you couldn't buy.
You can go right to the gas station and buy it.
Yeah, you could buy a 6-pack of beer if you want. You don't have to, but in Pennsylvania, you had to buy cases.
30 packs. Yes.
Yeah, so you're like, and you wonder why these people like to drink. Well, I got them. I might as well keep drinking, like. So it's like, man, I said I never seen nothing like this. I had to go to the Giant or whatever to get food, and I couldn't get beer there. And then I had to go to the beer mart to get the beer. So I was going. It's like a whole day's trip going to the store and then the beer store.
My dad and uncles, they're probably like, "Why are you telling this?" But we come out with a hand truck, man.
Yeah.
Roll out with the case of beer, big case of beer as we finish here. Tell me about the music, man. Like, did you play throughout your career? How did you transition to it, and what's up now?
Yeah. So, my dad always used to tell me stories about how he hung out with Leonard Skinner and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, Dad. And he's like, oh, Derek Hess was going to be their drummer. I'm like, yeah, whatever, Dad. So then I always, I don't know. I guess I felt my dad was full of crap half the time, but he wasn't actually. So it was good. I got to meet the guys and stuff. So, but probably 2002 when I got called to the big leagues. You got a lot of downtime as a pitcher, man. There's just once you get your work done for a couple hours, then you're like, all right, what do I do? So our video guy, Kevin Camasholi, used to be a guitar teacher. And I guess we got to talking one day, and then I started bringing the guitar in, and when I'd get there early, get my work done, and not a lot of people be in the video room. He'd teach me a few things, and then we'd go on the road, and he'd teach me a couple things. I'd get some beers up in the room, and we'd just strum and teach me some things like that. So I kind of dabbled in it, playing the guitar for a while, and I never really got into like wanting to write songs until probably 2013. I got hurt when I was in Cleveland, and I had nothing to do. I'd go to rehab for 2 hours a day and then come home and sit there all day. I'm like, I need something to do. So, right. So it's lonely too, by the way. The DL is a lonely place because nobody, if you ain't helping the team, they don't give a shit about you. So, yeah. So then I started, at one of my buddies that was in a band. I'd known from playing ball, a lot of guys in bands and everything like that. And always wanted to, I feel like every professional athlete or at least baseball players want to be a rock star, and rock stars. Oh, I used to play baseball, or I used to do this, so it's kind of like the world's intertwined. So
yeah, like Jason Aldean played baseball,
right?
There's all of them did something, right, of some sort.
Right. So then probably 2013 I got done after that year, and then I'd written like 3 songs on this little MIDI I didn't know what I was doing. My buddy was helping, and I was like, oh, this ain't too bad. I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, he played all the guitar parts and stuff, and he's like, all right, you sing it. And I was like, I can't sing. I just put it down, get somebody else to sing it or something. So then I got home that off season, and my buddy that I went to high school with was a actual producer and stuff like that. So I was like, well, I got these 3 songs. Can you like master them for me and make them sound better? And he's like, no. And he's like, I like the concept. So I was like, well, what do you think? You think we got something here? Because I was thinking it's really good. I listen to it now. That was shit. It was bad. Like, it was bad. I'm like, I can't believe I even let anybody listen to that, honestly. The concepts were fine. But so then I played golf with the guy, and he's like, let's play some golf. And then we got to talking, and then he goes, well, let's write a song together and see what happens. So I did the song, wrote it, and he's like, get in there and sing it. I said, nope, you're the singer. I mean, this guy played in Puddle of Mud. I mean, like he was the lead singer of his bands that, you know, had record deals and stuff like that, Society Red and everything. So I'm like, you're singing it. You're the lead singer. I just write the lyrics. I write the stupid stuff down. Okay. So this, and then he goes, get in there and sing it. I said, I'm out. I'm leaving. Songs, I'm out. I'm not doing it. So about 2 weeks later, he called me, asked me to come over to a party he was having. He's like, come over, have some beers and meet some guys. And there's like dudes from Tool, Shine Down, Puddle of Mud at his house. And I'm like, oh, I get to meet these guys. It's cool, you know. That's pretty cool. And then he's like, have some beers or whatever. I probably had 6, 7 beers. He's like, let's go to the studio and screw around or whatever. They keep drinking beers. I probably had like 10 beers. He's like, get in there and sing that song now. I'm like, F you. That's the only reason. Now I got all these dudes that are platinum, gold musicians sitting in this room waiting on me to get in there and sing this shit. And I'm like, screw it. I don't care. I'm hammered. I don't care. I'm like, I got good buzz going. I don't care. So I sang it in front of them, and I'm like, I didn't care at that point, you know, and I didn't know how to sing at all. So like through the first whole album that we did, he was literally teaching me how to sing when I would go over there. So, you know, we had a process early to where I would write the song, you know, then like listen to it and all that stuff. So it would take us probably like 2 weeks to do a song maybe. And then towards the end of, we got 5 albums out. To the end, I would literally write the song that day and sing it that day, and we'd be done. So like, just because I got comfortable with it, you know, it's like anything. People are like, well, like how does singing on stage feel like playing baseball? I'm like, well, I've been playing baseball my whole life. I'm pretty comfortable doing that. You know, I'm not comfortable singing in front of a red light when a microphone's hot. You know, even though you can like edit and delete it if it sounds terrible, like to hit it right. And he'd make me sing it over and over, the parts over and over again, just for practice, basically. And I was like, oh, that one was fine, leave it. It wasn't just like a cut here, cut there, go. He made me practice it and get better, obviously. So, and just kind of get a feel for it. My timing was terrible. I never knew when to come in. I didn't know shit, basically. So it was difficult for me. And then started the second album, and he goes, dude, we should play some of this stuff live. And I go, I am not playing this shit live. I don't even want to get in front of this mic and sing the first album, but I have some other ideas for songs. We'll start another album. I'm cool with it. So we did that. And then he goes, we should do some of this stuff live, like again. And I go, all right, dude, I'll only do it live if we play an arena. Chances of playing an arena, I'm going, is 0. I only have 1 album out, and it's not like hitting charts and stuff like that because I don't have a publicist. I just put it out by myself. I don't have a label behind me. It's my own label. You know, we put it out. It's easy to do. So probably halfway through that album, we were probably 5th or 6th song at that time, getting through that album. So probably a few weeks later, the Jacksonville Sharks call me, arena football team, and say, hey, you want to play a halftime show in the arena? I'm going,
like, oh, I got it.
I went, shit. I stuck my foot in my mouth. I'm like, no way that just happened. Right. And then, so I'm like, all right, well, I guess I got to do it. I practiced for about 6 months, and it was only 2 songs. Like trying to learn how to sing live. And I had to practice for 6 months just to learn the words to 2 songs. I was so afraid, as if you mess up a song, not that they would know it, because I don't know if the album was out yet, but
you're a rookie too. You're like a rookie in that space.
That's my first show ever. and a freaking 10,000 people were sitting there watching me at halftime. I'm going, oh, this is freaking great, man. So but honestly, when I did that, I was like, oh, I got to do this more. Like once I got it over with, I was like, oh, I got to do this more because
adrenaline rush.
yeah, it felt like playing again. It was like one of the closest things to it, like it was good, and the only hard part is like trying to like pump the crowd up.
Yeah.
I did this show not too long ago, and it was, it was not an arena, but like a amphitheater type thing. So it was like a theater type shit. It was a nice venue, big stage, and I always wear sunglasses on stage because I can get distracted pretty easy, like catching glimpses of something or somebody does something, and I'll just oops and forget a word or something or like whatever. So I need to focus and just kind of stay in my own mind. And so like in between songs, you're supposed to talk to the crowd or do whatever like that. And then there was this one song come on that's like, all right, everybody on their feet, whatever like that. And I'm like pointing these. I can't see the first 3-4 rows like in front of me because I got these shades on. And I'm telling these people to stand up, get up. And they're not standing up. I'm like, why aren't you standing up? They had no legs.
Oh.
And I couldn't tell that they didn't have any legs. They were in wheelchairs, man. Like one of the guys had no legs, but they couldn't get up. Like they were paralyzed because.
Oh.
And then I didn't know. I didn't know until after the show. It's a terrible story, but I didn't know until after the show. My brother comes up to me. He goes, those people that you were telling to stand up? I was like, yeah, they didn't freaking stand up because they had no legs. And and a couple of them were paralyzed. I'm like, oh, that's right. I am doing this for like, wounded vets and stuff and everything. I didn't even put that together when I was up on stage, but I ended up giving them T-shirts and stuff like free chaos. I felt terrible, I was like, they thought it was funny, thank God, but I was like, not a good look. But,
rolling. What's next? Where do you see it going?
Oh, I don't know. I've taken probably a little time off from it because I've been chasing my boys around. I'm trying to get, my oldest out of the house for, it's a big year for him. I mean, he's got some draft opportunities possibly, but obviously I'm leaning more towards sending him off to college, but just trying to focus on him. He got a game tonight and tomorrow. So, just chasing him around at this point. And this summer, we probably spent 2 weeks at home, just traveling around playing and stuff like that. So haven't really had much time with the music to get going, but once he's out of here in June, I'll probably start kicking it back up, looking for some shows and stuff like that. Maybe some new material.
Yeah, man, I love it. Well, good. I guess I got to ask this. What do you think about the Phils this year? I mean, they're all in. They're talented.
I get very irritated in the early months because it reminds me of a lot of the way we started. I don't know what the deal is, the weather, whatever it is, coming from Florida to jumping up there, as we were kind of the same way. We'd always start off pretty sluggish, and then, hopefully they get hot because, I think I would. Their bullpen guys have really good shit. They just for some reason don't get the job done as often as I'd like them to. Maybe that's me being a fan, and I feel like everybody in Philly. You know what I mean? Like
now you're a fan. Before you'd be like, relax, we're just getting started. Now you're like, come on, man.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, I watched Wheeler go out his first outing, go 6 with no runs, and then the bullpen gives it up, and I'm like, damn it, they're doing it again. The freaking bullpen's doing it again, and then
Bryce isn't hitting, and then Bryce hits 3 homers in one night.
Well, that's going to happen. I mean, it's Bryce Harper. I mean, that's going to happen.
That's unbelievable.
But yeah, I lean more. I like the rotation. But the back end of that bullpen is going to be key. Like the whole bullpen is going to be key for them getting the job done. And I think that's been their, even though they ranked them the number 1 bullpen in baseball this year, but yet they ain't getting it done right now. It's early. It's 5 games in, 5-6 games in. So, you want them to get hot and, down the stretch at least leaning on 3 guys, 7, 8, 9 guys down the stretch. So that bullpen is going to be key for them if they can stay healthy.
Well, Brett, good luck to your son. I hope he goes to Florida because I'll now
Yep.
be watching him even more.
Yep.
And
And it's only an hour and a half from me and 45 minutes from the lake house, so I kind of want him close too.
Yeah, that's easy, man. That's a great
Yep.
ballpark.
Yep.
Skane's a great town. And
Yep.
man, I appreciate your time, sincerely.
Yep.
And good luck with
Thanks for having
everything.
me.
We'll pump this out here in probably about a month or so, and I will make sure to share all your
Right on.
music and all this stuff
Yeah.
with it.
Appreciate it.